Is whenever I stare at your face, I instantly have to itch my nose when we go live.
I don't know what that means.
No, usually I heard like if you have to like itch your nose, it means you're gonna kiss a fool. So
Well, pucker up. Well, Haley, we've got some fun things to discuss today. Guys, for just joining us, we are also now on Instagram. So, watching on Instagram, welcome. Well, guys, it is Today in Travel. We discuss all things relating in the travel industry. We have some great things to discuss today. I am Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor. Love helping my clients just check items off their travel to-do list. We talk about all things here: resorts, airlines, cruises, everything. Haley, introduce yourself for those of us, or for those who are watching us for the first time.
hello, everybody. My name is Haley. I am a travel blogger, and I also own a hotel sales support company, Hospitality with a Flair. I've been, in hotels since I was 17. So we're just not going to talk about how many years at this
I
point
love it.
and how many brands. But I know that it was kind of slim pickings today for articles, but I do like what's coming about here, and I'm very anxious to learn about this first one with you.
I'm excited. So, Regent Seven Seas has announced what they're calling immersive overnights. So, one of the complaints people have about going on cruises, they want to spend more time in the ports, especially when you're going to really great cultural destinations. And there are some other cruise lines who really specialize in like overnights, like Oceania, Azamara. They really do it. And occasionally you have mainstream cruise lines occasionally offer an overnight offering. Like I've had an overnight in Istanbul. Like, we've had those. Well, Regent has come out with this new collection of itineraries where they're doing extensive overnights. I'm talking 4 or 5 overnights at 4 or 5 different places. Some of these they're there for.
That's incredible.
I think that's incredible, right? Like you get to Ephesus 2 nights. I mean, but there's a lot, there's a lot you can do when you are, in that part of the world. Like lots of things to see.
Oh, 100%.
Overnights in Naples, right? Because how many people have to rush between? Do I do Capri? Do I do Amalfi Coast? Do I go to
Pompeii.
Pompeii?
Imagine if you could have that overnight and then still have the experience of your ship coming back, everything's included, taken care of, and
I love it. I think this is going to be a great offering for Regent. Look, Regent is already, you know, luxury. They have great offerings, business class air included. Like, I mean, they already have great offerings, but this is really throwing the gauntlet down to those other cruise lines
yeah,
that
'cause
are
the only
focusing on
ones that I could really think of, I feel like that are more mainstream. I know that Virgin does overnights in Ibiza and Mykonos. I feel like there's one other place they do it. Maybe not in the. Do they do it
those are their
overnight in Britain?
standard med ones, the Ibiza and Mykonos. Those are kind of their standard med offerings. So
Very
great job, Regent. I'm excited. So this next one is so JetBlue and Spirit try to merge. It was such
that
a
got slapped pretty hard.
it did, and I hate
I
to.
don't know how this appeal is going to go.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I also think it's a blessing in disguise because they're just not a cultural fit. Think about what JetBlue offers, how they operate. Think about their mint product. Their mint product is fantastic, and you compare that to
It's
Spirit.
such a juxtaposition. I mean, I will say, like, Spirit has those like front big seats, which are actually obscenely comfortable.
Yeah.
I've had them, but like you said, the models are a complete juxtaposition to each other.
So I mean, they're gonna appeal. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it going anywhere. But of course, if it does, we will definitely bring you that news.
I mean, I could feel I feel like I could see like a Spirit Frontier merger that would make
Hmm. I agree. I
sense
agree.
because there's that similar crossover.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So
That's me.
so Dan, who is kind of airline expert, he typed in on your Facebook. I think it will go somewhere. Alaska and Virgin didn't mix either. JetBlue wasn't going to be left in the dust again. So we'll see.
True, true, true.
We'll see. All right. So we talked a couple months ago about how Venice was suffering from over tourism and it just gets packed, and that they were going to start charging travelers a day pass to enter the city if you weren't staying overnight in the city. So there's dates of when it's going to be in effect. It's the peak season, as you can imagine. Weekends in the
Naturally.
summer, holidays. It's peak season. The fee is just €5, so not a ton, and it's for 14. It's for ages 14 and above. And if you don't have a QR code when they're asked for it, there's going to be a penalty of between 50 and €300, depending on which day and times that you're there. And then they're going to still charge you the fee on top of it. So
and that's per person. That's not like
per
one
person.
fee.
Per person. So if you are planning trips to Venice this year, make sure to check the schedule and the fees. Pay the €5. Have the QR code when you enter the city. I think we're going to start seeing this being a trend of.
And honestly, I like it. To be honest, there was just some news the other day too on how, even though we're kind of past pandemic protocol, that 8 major national parks here in the States are going to a reservation only system for peak season.
Yeah.
And they have things like that in like Hawaii, like on Oahu, Hanama Bay, and those kind of places. And I think it makes sense because, I mean, yes, people want to visit these places. They're beautiful, they're popular. But especially a place like Venice, a place like Hawaii, national parks, like that's very limited. And you have to be very careful with it. And yes, tourism is great and wonderful, and can be a great economy booster. But too much is also a bad thing.
Well, it's funny you
Wow.
talked about Hawaii. The governor of Hawaii, in his state of the state address, is proposing a tourism fee of $50 a person to enter certain parts of Hawaii, and they're going to try to do it to offset some of the carbon footprints.
Yeah.
The cars, and I mean, Hawaii's already expensive and it doesn't really prevent people from going. So, I mean, they could probably impose a fee. Now, there are some worries that is it legal because we have the ability as if you're an American to travel to states without, there is that whole, you can't charge.
That can open a whole can of worms that we.
Someone to just enter the state. You can't do that. But different parts of Hawaii, I could say it like a national park ish, but those are all. This is not today in politics. We're not going to talk about that.
Not today, at least.
Not today. So we keep talking about just like crazy cruise season. Icon of the Seas is out there right now doing some of their preview sailings. First sailing is coming up very, very soon. All of the indicators are saying this is going to be a record year for cruising. And I know just from my little anecdotal evidence, I already have more people booked on cruises for this year than I had for all of last year. And,
Wow.
we're in January, right? So people are cruising. So Haley, for people who are wanting to do a cruise, what are some of the things they should do to make sure they're getting a good bang for their buck, a good value? What would you suggest?
Well, I know I always think of you as trying to book as early as possible.
Yep.
Another way that I save money because I travel with a family is consider alternate destinations. Like you and I were talking about how I'm cruising over Easter break, which is, up north, they do more of an Easter break versus a spring break. And it always falls around Easter. To go to Florida airfare would probably cost me close to $1,000 a piece round trip.
Yep.
Cruising in a balcony on like Royal Caribbean family, mass market family, would probably cost me in the ballpark of somewhere between $5,000 to $8,000, depending on the ship, if not even a little bit more if you're talking
Right.
something like Icon during that week. Instead, I am flying to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, Spain is still beautiful that time of year. I went mid February and it was high 60s, low 70s. Still beautiful for me. I got the airfare and points for 22,000 points round trip, which is insane. Not to mention, you can get European airfare for around $500 round trip this time of year.
Yep.
And I got, we're going with another family. So we got 2 premium Aria suites on the new MSC World Europa. And we got an interior room for the kids. Because oddly enough, that was cheaper than putting the kids in the suites with us. And it worked out to about $3,800 for a week in the Western Med. So that's always a big one. Then of course, like, not to toot your horn here, but like going through a travel agent, like, seeing if there is existing group rates, things of that nature. And then really looking at the brands and seeing what's included. And that 3,800 as well includes Wi-Fi and drinks and things of that nature, kind of seeing where I can get the best bang for my buck. Like the sticker shock might be a little higher, but when you even have, if you're going to luxury, like look at Regent, it includes, excursions, this, and that. It's like when you're paying for that stuff a la carte normally, kind of stack that up and see where that is and see if you can get a better experience. You might have older kids that, are over the water slides and things of that nature, and you're spending, $15,000 anyways. Where else could you spend that 15,000? Because I don't feel like the higher premium luxury lines get that kids school break price surge like Carnival, Disney, not like that. So sometimes you can find a really great bang for your buck on those weeks. I know we considered an Azamara trip last year over April, ended up doing Apex instead, but it was an Azamara. It was a kind of like a junior suite that included drinks and some excursions, and it was 6,000
Right.
for a week in the Med.
Right.
Those are mine. What about you?
I think those are great. So I always tell people, don't be embarrassed or think you're annoying your travel advisor for asking for rates for a sailing. So I was talking with a friend of mine the other day who had never been on a cruise. And he was like, man, I keep seeing these Icon of the Sea commercials. So it's like, if you're watching TV, every other commercial is for
the Icon of the Seas.
Icon of the Seas, right? And so he's like, yeah, I was looking around at some of the pricing, and he goes, I couldn't believe how expensive it was. He goes, I was thinking about maybe doing this, trying a cruise. He goes, but those prices are just, and I was like, so curious, like what dates were you looking at? And we had some dates, and I, had my phone, and I looked up the pricing. I had exclusive rates that were almost half of the website, almost half. And he was blown away. He's like, I just thought travel agent could save me $100, $200. Maybe here's a free dinner. And look, sometimes that is it, right? But
and sometimes it's not a deal, but what you're getting
right.
with like somebody like you that's a little bit more boutique and does some stuff after hours and whatnot. Sometimes the service of not having to deal with the headache.
Right. So I would say that the tip for the the cruise surge is book early. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I've been looking at these sailings. Do you have any great deals on these 2-3 sailings, right? And sometimes the exclusive rates that some agents can get can really amount to substantial savings. So don't be afraid to ask.
And don't be afraid to give a ballpark, because I know sometimes people get a little squeamish talking about money.
Yeah.
But, when you find a good travel agent, I remember when I first used Jason for the first time, like years and years ago, it was, okay, let's get age, let's look at state of residency. job professions for, past cruising. Like, you should have a travel agent that's asking you that kind of information to find you a deal, kind of go at them and be like, hey, I have a really limited budget. I've got a family of 4. I'm talking like 3,000 max. These are the dates I'm looking to go. Because that helps narrow it down,
It
because
does.
maybe you can't get on Icon for 3,000, but you could probably get on Oasis on a certain week for that. And
I'm,
it has a lot of those similar features.
I had a family reach out to me not too long ago. They needed like 6 or 7 cabins. They wanted Icon. I priced it, and they were like, got them on Symphony for a great deal. Symphony of the Seas is a fantastic ship. I mean, it's fantastic. And, so just always ask people, hey, give a budget of respect. Are we talking 3,000, 5,000, 10, 15,000? Just let me know. And we can dig in and we can find something. So, all right.
But if you can give your travel agent kind of like a range and stuff like that, that kind of knows where they can place you. Because sometimes it might be like, look, I know that you sent me your budget at 3,000, but oh my gosh, I have got these group rates on a shorter kind of repositioning sailing for Icon.
Right.
It's 4,000, but it's Icon.
Right.
So, and then you can kind of weigh out that value.
Right. No.
And see if that makes sense for you.
I agree completely. So, speaking of cruise season, wave season, I thought that, we don't do a ton of deals and stuff like that on the show. That's not really here to do news. But occasionally there is a deal or a promo or a hack that is news worthy. And Alma Waterways is doing something that is, it's really a great deal. It's newsworthy. They are offering complimentary land extensions. So I'm talking the 2, 3, 4 day land pre or post when you book an Alma Waterways river cruise. And that is really unheard of at the price point where Alma is. And if you want to see more of Europe, get into Europe, this could save you thousands of dollars with a complimentary
way to do it.
So when I saw that, I was, like I said, we're not like a deals show, but I think that was fantastic. And they're running it through March. So if you're looking at some river cruises, that could be a great way to stretch your dollar and see more. Go spend a couple days before a cruise or after a cruise in Prague, or pick one that starts
Budapest.
There's just so many great ways to see more of Europe if you're a couple days before or after. So
100%. Well, in the spirit of not being deals, but a way to save money. So if you follow any form of travel channels on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, no doubt you have seen people talking about how much cheaper luxury items can be abroad. I will tell you, last year I bought myself not last year, almost a year and a half now. I bought myself a new Louis Vuitton purse for work. It fits my laptop. In the States, this purse is about $2,500. Buying it in Strasbourg, France, when I was there doing Christmas markets, it was about $1,800. Huge difference. Plus, you get the VAT tax back. So there's a lot of mystery around how that's supposed to go, where you're supposed to go. There is an app called Global Blue. It gives you instructions on what you need to do, and it also lets you track your purchases and tax refunds. So make sure you check that out, because it can get super confusing.
It can be. I mean, look, I've messed it up. Like, I've been like, wait a minute, what? I need this stamp.
Oh, I hobbled over. I partially screwed it up. Thankfully, it didn't bite me, but it can be a little tricky. But this app kind of simplifies that process. It's a free app, so make sure you check that out.
No, that is great tip. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And again, to the new people on Instagram, welcome. We're so glad you were here to join us. We do the show every week. And Haley, thanks for joining as always.
Well, Thank you. I'm sure we're just going to act like we're not going to go call each other right after this to talk further.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.